You gotta send that last text.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here now in San Antonio, Texas. You know, San Antonio is actually our number one city that listens to us.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
It's a little surprising. That Austin is catching up. It's close, but still San Antonio is number one.
That's right.
And so we're here in San Antonio with Mike Guzman. You say, introduce yourself, Mike.
Yes, well, my real name's Miguel.
Yeah, Miguel.
But they know me by Mike and some other things we can't say on the air.
Our first guest.
Yeah, this is our first guest. We teased about this guest on the last podcast. And so now we're here. It's me and Matt. We drove down to San Antonio to get this exclusive one-on-one. This is Guzman's first ever podcast.
Yeah, man. Cool. Yeah, I'm honored, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for actually taking the time to do this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was waiting to have you on as the first guest.
Cool, man. I'm honored.
I feel like you would have a lot of good stories. Probably some that you can't say on the.
Or can. It's up to you.
We'll say them.
Yeah, you're saying you got a couple tequila shots.
Los Mariachi Sagas. Los Mariachi Sagas.
Was mariachi always a part of like growing up, your childhood? Were your parents or grandparents mariachis, or just music in general?
Yeah, music in general was part of our childhood growing up. You know, playing at church and so forth, and that's really where we started. I started playing mariachi music.
Oh, so you started in the church?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, my family is pretty musical, pretty on both sides. So my uncle was in a trio in Reynosa, down in Mexico, on the border, and that's how he paid for school basically, because now he's an engineer at a company.
Nice.
But he did trio. He played the requinto. Uncle played accordion. I had another my grandpa. I had another uncle who was a bass player for Ramon Ayala.
Wow, man.
So
Cool,
what's his name? He's real short, kind of funny looking. What's his?
Cornelio Reina.
Yeah, Cornelio Reina. he would go to my grandparents' place,
Man.
and they would hang out there, and so he would drink there, and
Well, I mean, I guess your family's more musically inclined than my family was. The only one, I was raised by my grandparents, so my grandfather was the musician in the house, and so yeah, he played guitar, but he didn't study music. He just played, you know, by ear. And he knew the songs, and that's actually how I would pick up the guitar and learn a couple of little leads and stuff like that, and pisadas or tonos, you know, this is primera, segunda, and tercera, and so forth, and like that. But that's you know, the basics of where I got inspired to play.
So then you were the one who kind of pioneered your way for your family, because all your kids do mariachi as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, my uncles, my dad's brothers, they played in groups when they were like in high school. They played like in I don't know, it wasn't conjunto, or it was just like oldies and stuff like that, or music that was popular back in their day. One of them played the keyboard, and another uncle of mine played the saxophone, another one played the trumpet, and so forth. But they didn't pursue music. You know, they went different routes as far as their careers. But yeah, I mean, I joined band in middle school, playing trumpet. That was my first instrument. I wanted to play football, and my grandmother, of course, told me that I wasn't allowed to play football.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I was obligated to pick an instrument, and it was trumpet. And
Cool.
then I started playing there at church, in the Catholic church in San Juan, in the west side of San Antonio. And when I entered high school, that's when I met up with Juan Ortiz. He's a musical director for Campanas de America, and he was the mariachi instructor there, and he became my first mariachi instructor, and he's the one that introduced me to mariachi music, as we know. And the awesome thing was that they had this connection with Mariachi Vargas, and they would bring him in every year and they were actually the ones that Juan and his wife Belle Ortiz were the ones that brought in Mariachi Vargas for the first conference in the United States, the first ever.
Wow.
So that connection that they had with Mariachi Vargas was incredible, because we were just riding their coattails. I mean, we were there with them. When Vargas came, we could greet him and know him and talk to them and so forth, and develop that friendship with them, and they knew who we were and we knew who they were, and even to a point where, I mean, years later, after a couple of years later, we'd go down to Mexico. We went down to Mexico City and stayed in Natividad Santiago's home, Nati, to study and be with Vargas and learn the art. There were conferences and as we know of today, but the technology today, YouTube and all these different videos, tutorials to learn a song or basically anything. You want to learn how to play Las Olas, look up El Zombie on YouTube, and he's there showing you everything. We didn't have that before, but we did have Mariachi Vargas, so that was an awesome experience there, man. And we're fairly young at that point. I was 15 when I started playing professionally with Campanas, and I was there for about 7 years with them.
Well, who better else to learn from than the best mariachi in the world? Yeah,
man. I mean, awesome. and to be able to stay with Nati in his home and just hang out with them and their family and eat together and talk and just absorb everything, the music, the culture, from the best, like you said, and that we were there for those things. Incredible experiences that we had with Vargas, and of course when they would come down to San Antonio, we would host them for everything here. So we had a good relationship with them.
So you mentioned how now there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of ways to learn songs faster, but do you also feel that for that same reason, how it's become so easily accessible, that a lot of the style has been lost? When if you're learning straight from a recording, you're not having a one-on-one teacher or learning from a maestro, you're just kind of trying to learn how to play, or you see sheet music. Do you feel like the style is not as prominent as it was, or learning one-on-one?
Music has to evolve. Music evolves, and for a good reason or a bad reason, it has to change. Stylistically, we really don't know what the purest form of mariachi is. So it's kind of hard. People say, the song is played this way and this is the way it is. Well, there's different opinions on that. Mariachi in itself, the mariachi ensemble was first called música mestizo. Mestizo is a mixture of the African rhythms and the native, indigenous music and the European music. So it was a mixture of all that. So I don't think there's really like a true style or form. I like how, like certain groups sound, but that's just the way they interpret the music, and you have to respect that, I guess. I can't say this is the only way. And I've had the experience where I played with musicians when I was younger, and they said, no, así no va, this is the way it is, and who taught you that way, and así no, well, man, that sounds good, I like how it sounds, but that's just opinion, and it can be, I don't know, it's a matter of opinion, what you like,
I think we've talked about that before on this podcast, where there are so many people out there that are like, no, this is the right way to play it.
There's no right. Yeah. I don't think there's really a right way to play anything. There's a way that you can play it and try to sound like Miguel Martinez on the trumpet, or try to sound like Nati Santiago. Even his son, he's been doing some I guess live broadcast every Thursday, and he'll bring in different artists and different speakers and guests on his I don't know if it's a podcast, but he just does live interviews on Facebook. And he was mentioning that even the way he plays his technique is different than his dad's, and he learned directly from Nati Santiago, from his father. But our anatomy is different. Our hands are bigger or smaller or thinner or fatter or shorter, whatever it is. So when you pull, the sound is different. The way you hold your instrument, the type of instrument. So you can't play exactly like Nati. There's no way. Not even his son could play. Even the pull is different, and that's just the way it is. You can try to emulate, a certain sound, or try to, but you have to. It's a matter of your own opinion. I know what I like. I know what I like to hear, and I know the sounds and the things that I want to listen to when I listen to a group. And those are the things that I can appreciate, but it doesn't mean that's the right way,
Right. So then, thinking about that, how do you feel about these competitions then, especially with high school, middle school groups? And part of the judging for that competition is their style and how they're interpreting the songs. That's kind of a hard thing to judge the students on.
It's subjective, man. It's very subjective, and you can bring, they're bringing in judges from Florida and some from California and some, and they have the way the mariachi should be playing or sound, and you come to Texas and it's like, whoa, man, what are these guys playing? And they'll critique and criticize them, but some of these groups sound good, man. Some of these high school groups, and you hear them down in the valley, and they're tearing it up, man. Musically, they're playing strong. They're playing, intricate stuff that some professional groups can't play. They're singing in 3-4 parts harmonies, man. How many professional groups out there really that are working groups that can do that right now? So I don't know. So you have to give credit where credit is due, man. Those instructors are working their butts off to put on a show for the kids. Competitions are good. Competition, what is competition going to do? Competition is going to make you as a musician go practice and learn your instrument and better yourself and trying to do something better. And that's the good thing about the competition, always was, they come out from there, but are they learning their music theory? Are they learning, their scales? And people criticize them. Well, after they're out of the high school, they only know the 3 show songs that they play, and you try to take them out here to work at a gig, and they can't play anything else or modulate to another key, but that takes time with everybody, man. It's hard to critique the students, man, because the instructors really work hard to produce a group at that category. If anybody can produce that type of a mariachi ensemble, and for them to sound that good, even if it's 2 or 3 songs, man, my hat's off to them, man. You have to respect that. Are we teaching them? And now, and the other aspect, are we teaching what we're supposed to be teaching? Well, I don't know. Who knows? That's why, you go down the checklist. Do you want to teach repertorio, or you want to go and have them learn a skill and play competition music? Some of these students aren't going to play an instrument after they graduate from high school. They might become doctors or lawyers or something else, and so what does it matter? If they sound good at that point, I'm okay, man. Yeah, people criticize those competitions a lot, and it's tough, man. And then again, they say, well, they should be playing, the traditional stuff. Well, what is the traditional stuff, man?
Yeah,
it's always confusing, man. But you have to respect. Everybody's trying to do something, and the thing is that they are doing good things, man. They have the groups. If you look at those groups, their trajes, they look, sharp as heck. They come on stage and they know when to come in. They're playing in tune, they're singing in tune, they're playing together. Hey, what else do you want? Well, that's pretty awesome though.
No, it is. I mean, I owe a lot to, I guess, my high school director. He wasn't really he wasn't a mariachi guy. He did orchestra, and well, they saw. I mean, he plays violin, and he's from Mexico, so the school district's like, oh, you teach mariachi, and he's like, I don't know mariachi. He's like, I've never done this in my life, but he just kept at it. And by the time I was in high school, he had already been there for almost 10 years. And so he did his best to prepare us, but mariachi was never his main thing. And in high school and just in school groups, you're judged a lot by the school district for your accomplishments, where you placed in competitions in state. So it's hard for them to even try to throw in that basic theory or those easy songs. Because like for me, I had never played Relámpago until Texas State.
Wow.
Until MNG, I had never played that song in my life, as we focused on all this Sol de Mexico stuff and all these show songs. And when I got to college, that was like our first semester was just full of standards of Charreada, México Lindo Querido, Volver, El Rey, Hermoso Cariño, all those standards that John Lopez gave us from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, and that really falls on the responsibility of the director, and you have to have a balance in everything that you do as a director or as a student. There has to be balance. Teach them those 3 songs for competition, and that's going to be it. But then, you can't avoid the other, standards as well. So it's like playing in a group here in San Antonio. How are you going to play Popurrís de Sol de Mexico and all that stuff and try to learn all this, the newer things that's coming out from Nuevoteca and you'll come in and we've tried it. We will come and practice esta vida, no, ¿cómo se llama?
Qué bonita es esta vida.
Qué bonita es esta vida. We put it down and voices and everything, and we practice it a couple of rehearsals. And you go to a gig and, hey, can you play Hermoso Cariño? Bueno, Las llaves de mi alma, and can you play De qué manera te olvido? And so, so we have to go back and look at what type of work we're doing as a professional musician. Also, are these? So we're talking about the students. Are they continuing to play? Are they going to continue playing after they're in high school, or are they going to go out and be a professional mariachi musician, or it all depends what they're going to do. Then they can focus a little bit more, or maybe they have to learn repertorio, or maybe they have to worry about their studies, or
So, going into like song choices that schools tend to do at competitions, you as an educator, have you noticed like any difference over the years of the competition?
Yeah, lately in the last 3 years or so, I know Los Fresnos came in and did like un son, La Guacamaya, and then they did una ranchera que Mantecas had recorded, I forgot. Mares de Vino, no me acuerdo cómo se llamaba. And then they did un paso doble, and that really, and I was at that, I was judging at that competition, and you hear, and this was like for the state level competition, and you hear all the other groups playing like original pieces with every 16th note that you can fill in one measure, all this stuff, I mean, precision at its finest and all this. But then when you hear like something, I guess, simple but well played, it was refreshing. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It was refreshing. Everybody has been trying to have that standard. Start off with something strong, and then do a ranchera, and then do a guapango, and the trumpets play their solo, and the violins play their solo, and that's the formula. Everybody's trying to do that formula.
Right.
And everybody knows that formula.
Yeah.
And then when these guys came in, and they just played, the way it's supposed to be, nothing too fancy or nothing too I mean, they played it with style, and and sabor, and it's like, wow, man, this was refreshing. And they won, and there were a lot of judges. I mean, a lot of the directors that were pissed, man. They were, how can it be possible for them to play a simple ranchera when my students are, hey, man, you know, let's go back and listen to the groups and really judge them in that sense. Listen to them with a musical ear, and you'll see how refreshing that was. But
just, you know, I think that goes back to, because nobody really can truly definitively say the origins of mariachi, because it's, you know, people have a different opinion, Culiacan or Jalisco or France, you know. But what is known is that mariachi was made by slaves that were brought over, by the people that were already here, and they would get together and just play because they enjoyed it, or they like to interact with each other. And I think when you bring back in those competitions back to like kind of those basic standards of songs, you interact more with the crowd, which is kind of what, like how mariachi was originally, just interacting with each other, kind of taking it easy, because they're doing it just to relax, to have fun. And when you're doing all these fancy arrangements and shows, it's kind of in a way showing off, saying we're up here and everybody else stay over there. But when you bring it something more simple, it feels more intimate with the crowd.
I mean, yeah, it's just a matter of opinion to me and Alexis. It's like we're saying.
So you started with Campanas. That was your first professional group at 15.
Yes.
And how much did you feel that you knew, or were you prepared, or were you like,
no, not at all, man.
You didn't know anything.
I've been playing. I was doing a couple of gigs on trumpet because I was playing. That was the first instrument I was playing with in the mariachi. I came in as a trumpet player, and I would do gigs around the city with the other trumpet player, a friend of mine, David. So he would get gigs, and we would go and gig, and eventually I during one of those class times, Mr. Ortiz asked me if I wanted to play the violin. He would show me how to play violin, so I said, yeah, man. So I'm really appreciative to him.
So you didn't start violin until what, like 16?
Well, about 15.
15.
Yeah. So I mean, but this is so fast, Alexis. This happened really quick. This must have been like in February or so, like a February or March. And he said, hey, you know, come and pick up a violin. I have an extra one at the house. I went and picked up a method book and an instrument that he had, an extra one, and started. Yeah, I could read music already. I was in band for 4 years already. It's just a matter of associating the difference between, you know, the notes on the strings to my valves on the trumpet, and learning the technique and so forth. And so I learned. He taught me like 2 songs, and then he invited me to play with his professional group. And I only knew I could play more songs on the trumpet. I knew I had a little repertorio already on the trumpet. I've been playing for a year and a half or so, mariachi songs, and so I had a couple of songs under my belt already on trumpet, but on violin it's totally different, man. It was like, well, I mean, I was a beginner. So I learned a potpourri, and I don't know what other song that they were doing, and like within 2 months I was in his group.
Wow.
You know, and the first show that we did was at the Arneson River. It was at the Sunken Garden here in San Antonio. They had a show. It was a televised show. It's called Estrellas de Texas, and we played that for that show, and I even sang a little part of a potpourri. Yeah, man, it was crazy and nerve-wracking because I wasn't prepared, really. I was still learning. I was a beginner. I had been playing like 2 months. But eventually, you know, I practice and dedicate some time on my instrument, and I found a teacher, Genaro Ibarra. He was a violinist for the San Antonio Symphony. He lived a couple of blocks from my house, and I started attending private lessons with him. And he was a good, not necessarily mariachi, just violin, you know, etude, scales, technique, and so forth. And he was a tough teacher, man. But you know, I guess I needed that, and I studied with him for a couple of years until I was in college at San Antonio College. Then when I entered college, I had another teacher, Cleo Aufterhar. She's from German descent. She also played with the symphony, and I studied with her for about at least 2 years, man. A couple of semesters there at SAC. And again, nothing with mariachi, just violin, and Bach and Vivaldi and Haydn and the scales and etudes and all the technical stuff that you need to become better at your instrument. And then with that experience and the knowledge that we had with that connection that we had with Mariachi Vargas, well, I used all of those things to apply them to my playing and my learning and growth, and back then it was, of course, LPs, albums, listening to the LPs. Gradually we went into cassettes and go back and listen to the cassette, play it again, and try to figure it out. We didn't have the accessibility to written music or a lot of the arrangements, and so a lot of stuff we had to depend on our ear and listen to it and go back and play it again. Oh, it sounds like this. No, but it sounds like this. Okay, play it again, and guessing at things. But that's the way you learn, and that's the way I learned a lot of the things.
And those records sometimes would be like slightly under pitch.
Yeah.
And then you'd be
Yeah.
playing flat or sharp. Or
Yeah, it
something.
depends on your turntable.
Yeah.
And the speed.
Mm-hmm.
But so then during this whole time, I guess by the time you graduated high school, were you already did you know that you wanted to do music pretty much the rest of your life, or have music in your life? Or did you want to do something else or study something else?
Man, I love music, man, and I can remember as a kid, laying on my bed and closing my eyes before I go to sleep, and I would imagine myself on stage playing the guitar in front of people. I'm thinking 6 or 7 years old, thinking about these things, and I can remember vividly thinking or going to sleep with looking at myself on stage. So yeah, maybe it was a premonition of that music was going to be in my life, but I never in my wildest dreams thought that mariachi music would be how I support my family and how would I make my living, and that never in my wildest dreams. I love music. I love listening to rock music. I listen to all the rock groups growing up, and until I was in high school, then gradually started listening to mariachi music, and that changed. Listening to Mariachi Vargas changed my world, man, my vision and my attitude towards mariachi music. Listening to Mariachi Vargas for the first time, it was like in 1984. We saw him in person, and
Wow.
It just blew my mind, And I recorded them on a boombox, and somewhere I have that cassette somewhere, and I'll look for it one day, and hopefully you can download it to a digital form or format or something.
That's crazy how all of us mariachi musicians start listening to rock or wanted to play rock.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we're in the United States, man.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, it's different.
it's different. And mariachi music was always around because when it came time to when I was in high school, I was also part of it was called the All District Mariachi from San Antonio Independent School District. So they get different students from the entire district, and they form one group to represent the whole district. And I was a member of that.
Cool.
And but at that time I was still playing trumpet, like I had mentioned before I started picking up the violin. But and one of those occasions, somebody said, "Okay, let's play Volver Volver," and we're looking around. Well, who knows how to sing it? And I was like, "Oh, I know it." And I had never, ever sat down to listen or learn Volver Volver, but somehow I knew it. But it's growing up in a Mexican-American home, the radio, the television, the Vicente Fernandez songs, and subconsciously, all that was, I was absorbing all those things. And they say, "Oh, El Rey." Oh, how in the hell do I know El Rey?
Yeah.
La Ley del Monte. Pues, I know it. ¿Cómo te sabes el? And these are, it's crazy though, because subconsciously it's playing on the radio, and there were songs that I heard and I would listen to, and I knew those songs, And then, of course, where we lived in the West Side, we lived in a tough area, man, and we lived like a street away from Guadalupe Street, and Guadalupe Street was popular for prostitution and drug activity and so forth and so on. But all the cantinas, and I used to go into some of the cantinas when I was a little kid. I used to hear the songs and stuff on the jukebox, and so all those times I was, absorbing all that stuff, and when it came time to do it, I knew how to. Oh, I know this song. I know how it goes. I recognize this song, and so
that's crazy because I think even me, it's the same way. Like I know of a couple of songs that I've had the same experience where I've never actually looked at the lyrics. And, I've just it just comes out because you absorb it. But nowadays, like, what do you think of the fact that we have these cell phones? Mariachis nowadays, they don't know the song, they'll just pull it up on their phone and just read it.
Well, and I mean, we should be prepared. And I mean, the technology helps us, but at the same time, we have to have some type of dignity, man.
Yeah.
And there's and I'm gonna confess, there's occasions when we say, hey, we don't know this song, we haven't played this song in a while, and they'll say, no, sácala en el teléfono, and if they say sácala or something, okay, bueno, pues cante con nosotros, then we'll ask them, sing with us, and then we'll read along the stuff, something like that. But for us to go and pretend that we know how to sing it and then pull out a phone and that's it's not the same. It depends on our clientele. You're not going to do that in a concert. You're not going to do, backyard party, barbecue, and these are clients that already, and they'll ask for these songs. They'll ask them occasionally, and we haven't sang that song in a while, or ay, ya ni me acuerdo cómo va. No te preocupes, saca el Google, el tío Google, sácalo y. And they'll take it up. Pues ven y canta con nosotros, and then it makes it a little bit better, tolerable. I guess it's acceptable in that sense, know. But yeah, man, we kind of one of the things that I try to do with my kids, my sons, since they started playing, and my daughter is I would assign them songs. Hey, listen to this song or learn this song. And they would, or listen to this song and so forth, and I already know it, okay, let's play it. So that's how they started learning songs, and that's another thing that I do with the members here in Los Galleros, in my group. I'll as a director, the music director, I assign songs to different people, and I'll listen to a song, and I know what the clients are asking for. Hey, they've been asking for, I don't know what it was, A Través del Vaso.
Yeah.
Man, who knows? Okay, learn it, and okay, or at least two people learn it in case this guy doesn't go with the other. The worst thing is, toquen esa canción. Oh, no la sabemos. El que la canta no vino. No, pues no. I mean, we've all been through that, but and my job is to make sure that we can accommodate our clientele, and if somebody doesn't know it, or the person that sings it doesn't know it, hey, pues the other person knows it.
Be as flexible.
Being prepared and having two or three guys learn the same song, not just one person. And because it's harder now because there's more repertorio, man. There's all the banda stuff that's coming in, and all those songs, and whether you like them or not, that's what the clients are asking for, and we have to learn and go with the punches there. There's when Coco came out a couple of years back, the Coco Loco and all that stuff.
Yeah, they do it.
You got to learn them, man.
It's part of it. Yeah. Part of the job now.
Yeah, and then of course make a arreglo or something that's gonna sound decent. That'll sound good. So.
Right. But so what? You said you played in Campanas, right? Was it right after when? Were you ever in Caporales?
Yes.
It was Caporales, and then Azteca de San Antonio. Okay, so how long were you in Caporales?
In Caporales, well, Los Caporales started out branching off from a show in Fiesta, Texas. So Fiesta, Texas was, or Six Flags, what they called it before. Six Flags. Before it was Six Flags, it was Fiesta, Texas, and another company, Opryland, I guess, had it. so they had live shows. The theme park was going to be live entertainment. They have a mariachi Mexican folkloric show, and then they had like a 50s rock and roll show, and then they had a country western show, and so that was the theme for the park, and it was incredible, man, because it was spearheaded by the members of Juan and Bell and Anthony Medrano that were in charge of organizing that show, and they put in a beautiful show with like 16 folklorico dancers. They had like about, I guess it was like 16 or 18 mariachi musicians. They had a rope artist and floreador and los perros. So yeah, man, it was an awesome show. And so what they had to do is audition different people for that show, different musicians, and then from there, some of the guys that were there weren't not necessarily in Campanas, but we organized another group, and that's where Los Caporales came about. It was with a good friend of mine, Roy Quintero. Yeah, Roy Quintero from Los Caporales, and myself. And then Raúl Cuellar. Cuellar we were the three violinists, and we had this guy Rene. He's from New Braunfels. Rene Gutierrez played guitarrón, and Juan Aldaco, the vihuelista that was with Campanas, left. Juan and I left Campanas at that time to start off over here with Los Caporales, and then we were with Los Caporales for a good at least another 7 years or so.
Wow. 7 years.
Yeah, so.
And then you made the all-star group of San Antonio, the Azteca de San Antonio.
Azteca, yeah, Mariachi Azteca. We
had some great musicians in that group.
Oh man, we've had good good musicians, man, good musicians, and it's good to play with good musicians because it makes you into a better musician as yourself. You know, you get pushed and not pushed, but you get better at what you're doing. You know, if you have these guys and what is he doing, or what are y'all learning? And the thing with Azteca that was so awesome is, and I think that group was so good because we would play almost every day. We played like 6 days out of the week. We played at a restaurant, and even though it was talon, but it was like 10 or 11 of us at one point.
Wow.
To do talon and see a group that massive and work. But we were doing well, and on a Tuesday night, we were earning good money. Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, we were able to have gigs outside the restaurant and so forth, and then we come back to the restaurant and clean up after that. But yeah, that was a good thing about Los Caporales that we had, Azteca, that we had good musicians there,
I bet you can say at that point it's just fun, it's not even work.
You didn't even consider it work.
Yeah.
My wife always tells me, you're always there over there playing at parties and fiestas. Hey man, that's my job.
Yeah, exactly.
I use that excuse a lot.
But yeah, I think we all
gotta
do,
work.
Gotta work.
Gotta work maybe. No, but yeah, man. When you play and surround yourself with good musicians, it always elevates your musicality as well, and I learned a lot, man, from every musician that I've worked with, from the most humble musician to the baddest, baddest musician that's out there, the best musician or whoever. You'll learn something from everyone, and that's you take all that experience and then you funnel it to who you are.
So then, how did what was the transition like, or how did you end up with playing with Camperos for a bit, from like San Antonio to California?
Well, for that, I have to just backtrack a little. When we were with Campanas, we were, of course, the conferences were big. We were participating in mariachi festivals or conferences and so forth. And in one of those festivals, we got invited to California, and they had a mariachi festival in Universal Studios. They had mariachi, of course, Vargas. They had Camperos. They had mariachi Los Galleros de Pedro Rey, and Campanas was like a subgroup. Those three groups were the top groups that were playing inside the theater, and they had invited Campanas and other groups to play like in the park grounds and so forth. but when it was time to play together in the concert, we were all there somehow, and building that relationship and with those groups, that's really what helped out, to get to know them, and Nati from Los Camperos saw our group, and we're kids, man, 15, 16-year-olds playing mariachi music and playing like Los Guapangos de Rubén Fuentes and playing El Cuatro and playing sones that are not easy to play, and we're attempting El Pasajero and so forth and so on. Nati saw something on us, and he said, "Hey man, you guys are great, and y'all are doing awesome. Thank you for this and that and playing mariachi music, and you, the guitarrón player, mira, when you play this, try doing this," and he give you a little pointer, and violines, mira, cuando toquen esto, háganle así, mira. And then he said, whenever any of you guys are interested in learning the style of Los Camperos, because they all have their style. So when you're interested in learning the style of Los Camperos, come to Los Angeles and come in and learn with Los Camperos que quieran. And some time passed, and summer came by, and I said, man, you know what? I got a ticket to Los Angeles. I flew out to Los Angeles, and I went into La Fonda, and I walked into La Fonda, and Nati said, "Hey, you're here." And I said, "Yeah, come on in." And he introduced me to their musical director, Juan Jose Almaguer. I said, "Mira, Juan Jose, this is Miguel from San Antonio, from Campanas, and he's going to be here with us. Take him and get him a traje." And we went to the back and got a traje. And within 30 minutes from the time that I walked into to La Fonda, I was already on stage. I didn't know the repertoire. I didn't know, but I was following and try to follow that. That night we went and played a serenata for Chuy Guzman's wife, and it was like 6 violins and 1 guitarist. Arturo Palacios, the guitarist de Los Camperos, el chino.
Yeah.
And 6 violines, Mario Rodriguez, Chuy Guzman, Mónica Treviño, Miguel González, ¿quién más? I forgot. And me, somewhere around there. So it was like, man, I was playing with these big hitters, man, and just freaked out. I was just in awe, and after that the guys left, and I stayed there with Chewy, and we drank beer, and I was a little young, but I was still drinking.
Yeah, that's the curse.
Yeah, pero no, and then the next day I stayed there with Chewy, and we practiced and talked about music, and just listened to music all day and barbecued, and then the following day we went to work at La Fonda, and then Nati told Mario, the other violinist, "Hey Mario, ahora llévate tú a Miguel go over some things with him," and so yeah, así se toca el son de la negra, mira, así, esto y lo otro. I stayed at his home and ate with his family and slept at his house, and the next day I go wake up and we go to the restaurant again, and Juan Jose, órale, te toca a ti, llévate a Miguel. Entonces, so I had all these teachers teaching me the style of Los Camperos. At the same time, having the opportunity to play with them on stage at La Fonda was incredible, listening to how they play together, how they gelled together, the sound that they produced, and the flavor that they had, it was incredible. And then doing a little gig with them also, and it was just a wonderful experience that I'll never forget. And that was that was just so when Nati had invited me to attend. I mean, he invited everybody from the group, but I took up I took him up on his word and went by myself. Nobody paid me to go, or I bought my own ticket and went up there, and so I made that connection, and I think he saw that interest in me. So I was getting ready to come back home, and Nati gave me some extra money. He gave me a check for a gig that we did, and it was like $500, for a gig that we did in San Diego.
Wow.
And he said, "Hey, what's your plan?" And I said, "Well, I just registered at San Antonio College. I'm going to go back in early September. I'm going to school. I just enrolled." He said, "Great, finish school. When you're done, give me a call, and we'll talk.
Wow.
So kind of like you have a door in a foot in the door already.
Mhm.
But I went to school, to college, and then I met my wife, and we had kids, and another kid, and then another kid, and then pasó el tiempo, and then
Uh-huh.
before you know it, was 10 years later. ¿Qué pasó? Y like, what happened here, man?
Yeah.
So I never had that connection back with Los Camperos, and by that time I was out of Campanas, so we didn't have that accessibility for those conferences. I was already working like with Los Caporales and Azteca out here at the restaurant every day. So things change, man. You get married, you have kids, it flips your world, man.
It does. Yeah.
So I get a call. I mean, I was still working and teaching with the school district during that time with SAISD, but then I get a call from Chuy Guzman. He said, "Hey, Miguel, ¿cómo estás? Hola, Chuy. We're doing a conference up in Fresno. Are you interested in helping us teach the conference?" I said, "Sure, man." He said, "Hey, and by the way, can you help us play at the concert as well?" I said, "Yeah." And that was like in 2001, because during 9/11, some of the guys left because they were, everything was kind of uncertain, man. There was a lot of uncertainty in the United States. Everybody was kind of freaking out, especially Los Mexicanos that were here. I don't know if they're here illegally or illegally, but a couple of the violinists, fled back to Mexico that were playing with Camperos. So that was my opportunity to come and help them out. So I did, and I did a concert with them in Fresno, and then pasó el tiempo, and then they were, "Hey, they would call me back to, "Hey, can you help us out with this concert?" I don't know, man. They were having difficult time with, keeping violinists in the group, or it was a time when Nati was really releasing his responsibilities as as the director, and letting Chuy take over. So it was a crazy transition, and I don't know, but it was wonderful because that was my opportunity to have that experience and help them out. And I already knew Nati, and I already knew Chuy from the past, and so I'm glad that they did have that confidence in me and say, "Oh, tráete a Miguel," and he was very vocal about expressing himself as the Nati was, and say, "You know what, Miguel, gracias, thank you, because I know you have other things to do, but you came and helped out Los Camperos. I appreciate that." And for me, it's like, what the heck, man? I'm over here doing concerts with you guys next to Vargas and Sol de Mexico y todo esto, and I said, man, plus getting paid and all this stuff. So I was like, man, I was incredible. So that was I mean, don't get me wrong, man, the pressure is tough to be able to keep those standards, and as a musician and playing with musicians at that level. Oof, es otra onda, otra cosa, ¿me entiendes? So yeah, man, and that was, I never moved to Los Angeles. I know that that was always a question, and my kids were very, very young. Antonio must have been like 2 years old, estaba chiquitillo, and my wife said, "If you want to move to Los Angeles to play with Los Camperos, if we want to do this, we have to do it now since the kids are small." I said, "Man, but the price of living over there is really expensive." I said, I don't think I can do that right now. We'd probably be living in the in the ghetto, and the really, I mean, I don't know what we'd be able to afford.
Yeah, the standard of living over there.
Yeah, so insane. I said, no, I'll just, Chuy had mentioned a couple of times, he's like, he didn't use it like, well, how much you make over there? Well, I think I was making, I don't know what, I was teaching with the schools plus working with the mariachi, so I was doing all right, I was doing okay, and supporting my family and so forth, but no, I never made the move to Los Angeles, but they would continue calling me, man. So that was great, man. They said, "Hey, Miguel, and I remember this clearly, man. And they tried different violinists as they're going along, and there was, okay, we have this conference and we did this concert and fine, and then something up is coming up, but me dice Chuy, no, pues voy a invitar a este chavo. Okay, no hay pedo, But then he called me, he said, like on a Tuesday, he said, "Hey, Miguel, ¿sabes qué? this guy didn't work out or whatever, and you know, we need help with this thing that's coming up this weekend or so forth. Oh, see, well, when do you need me by? He said, well, can you be here Thursday? And this was a Tuesday, man. I said, oh, no, man, you know. So things like that. And I said, sure, man, I voy. So me iba. And then it was like that for about the next 9 or 10 years, man. I was just going back and forth. And the tough thing about it is that my wife went after my youngest son was in school, Antonio. She went back to school to finish her degree and get that done. So it was tough for her because she was having to do the school, you know, go back to school and go to UTSA and then Texas A&M and so forth, and to get that done and homework, and at the same time take care of 3 kids while I'm over there in Guadalajara and El Encuentro and all that. And she was like, hey, man, what's going on?
Yeah.
That was tough for her, man, but I appreciate her, you know, with her patience. But no, pues yo todavía rubbing shoulders with Pepe Martinez.
But you're working.
You're working.
I'm working again, brother. Hey, I said I have to work. But that was I think that was a difficult part, you know, having my family so far away, or my wife actually, and not being a helper out here while I was over there. But you know, it was a good run, man. You know, I had the opportunity to play with in Los Camperos con like the greats de Los Camperos. Now, you know, like every group changes, but you know, if you know Los Camperos or follow Los Camperos, the guitarronista that they had, Jose Maria Arellano, he was a Chema, que le decían el Chema. I had opportunity to play with him. Luis Damián, el vihuelista, el cantante en primera voz. I was able to play with both of them. Arturo Palacios, el guitarrista, of course, Ismael Hernandez. And those are like, you know, the Camperos,
the legends.
Yeah, man. And I was able to play with them side by side and be with them and even had the opportunity to record some coros and vocals on one of their CDs de Los Camperos también, el que tiene los pollitos y ese CD. I don't remember the title of it, pero creo que es Llegaron los Camperos, or one of those CDs. Yeah, I didn't record the strings. They did the strings up in or down in Guadalajara one time out down there. Pero yeah, man, and that's really what that experience was awesome.
Well, it's something that not many of us or not many mariachi musicians throughout, you know, their lives can say. You know, I mean, you're living the dream. Like,
yeah, man. I mean,
at that point,
it was fun. It was awesome, and like you know, and sometimes I would see another guy del Mario was an ex Campero, and then he formed his Mariachi Imperial de México. I don't know if you've heard of de Los Ángeles.
Yeah.
El Mario dice, no, hombre, tú más vienes a las puras buenas, you know, vente al talón, or, you know, come to the hard gigs, you know. Dijo, but no, I was fortunate. Yeah, man, I go to all the concerts and all the big venues and big events that they had, and I mean, yeah, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you know, I look at it as you had these opportunities in front of you, and you went ahead, like you said, and you're the only one who bought the plane ticket, and you went. And
let me tell you, Matt, that was a crazy experience, because you think about it and go back and say, man, I didn't have a cell phone, I didn't have a GPS, I didn't have, you know, I didn't even have a freaking credit card. I don't know how I got there, and somehow I wound up at the restaurant, and those are the things that you see, you know, man, whenever you see your students or somebody that's like that. And I see some of those students and nowadays, and I say, oh, okay, this kid is going to do, you know, something good, or he's, you know, because you see that fire or that desire for them to move forward. And I think that's something that Nati always saw. And I think I can say that he saw that in me, that I was ambitious enough to pursue those things, man. And they paid off, I guess.
Yeah.
So then, you know, through all these years, let's say, well, you said you started at 15. Was there ever a moment when you were playing that you say something came up, some situation where you felt like, all right, I can't play anymore. I need to change maybe career, or like I just maybe this with gigging isn't gonna work out? Is there any moment, any time in that life where that happened?
Yes, like in March 13th, 2020. Yeah, when people called and say, "Hey, we're canceling all the gigs from here to the like, oh, what the heck am I gonna do now?" You know.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, I never thought of quitting, but I said, man, now what's gonna happen? And you know, there's no concerts, there's no events, and I mean, you're aware that my son Antonio is now a Campero. He's a member of Los Camperos, and they haven't had a concert since late February, early March.
Wow.
Yeah, they haven't played since. So yeah, that's the difficult part. You know, this pandemic really turned everybody's world around, man. It's historic, and I've never experienced anything like this before in my lifetime. So I mean, I don't want to change careers. You know, I'm still doing what I'm doing, but it did affect us.
So yeah, how did that happen? How did Antonio get over there with Camperos in contact? You just always had contacts, or?
No. Well, I mean, of course, Chewy knew my family, of course, and you know, they went up to Los Angeles, and they knew my kids when they were small and young, and then during the conferences in Tucson, I would help Los Camperos out for the concert and teach over there those workshops. My family would go up there also to attend those workshops, and by then my kids were playing. And Alejandra and Miguel, and Antonio was the youngest one, so he really wasn't playing yet that much, but he would go out there anyway. And then once he started getting a little better at his instrument, at Texas Tech, Adolfo Estrada and Dr. Salazar are in charge of their mariachi programs out there. And Dr. Salazar is a graduate of UCLA, and UCLA, that's where Chuy Guzman was teaching. So she had that connection with Chewy, and Chewy would come down to Texas Tech to conduct workshops during the summer. And Ivan Velasco from Telhuicani, from Veracruz, was the other instructor that they would hire to do these workshops. So Adolfo, being an ex gallero or compañero de nosotros, Adolfo Estrada is now a TA for Texas Tech Mariachi. He invited Antonio up there, and he invited me to attend these workshops, but I was busy during the summer doing other things, and these were like week-long workshops. So Antonio would go up there, and according to him, some of the students really didn't appreciate like what they had. They had Ivan Velasco there, and they didn't take advantage of him. They had Chuy Guzman, so I told him, well, ask Chewy questions, man. Ask him and be a little bit more assertive, and sure enough, yeah, ¿cómo tocas esto? Pues así, you know, y dale así. And he attended those summer workshops for about 3 years or so, and then Chewy. So I guess that's where Chewy saw his ability of playing. Antonio is a little freak, you know. He's super talented. Yeah. Super talented on his instrument, and he has an incredible ear. He's an incredible musician, not because he's my son, but again, what I had mentioned, subconsciously growing up and listening to all this music and all these things in your home, you know, he's absorbing all these things. My kids were absorbing all these things, all this music that was around them growing up. So it developed I feel that it developed their musical ear. So Chewy saw his talent and asked him what he was planning to do, and my son was planning to serve a church mission and do missionary work, and he was scheduled to attend to go down to Peru for about 2 years, and like a week before he was going to head out, he decided not to go. You know, he had his personal reasons, and when he didn't go, you know, he still kept in touch with Chewy, and eventually they extended that invitation for him to go and be part of Los Camperos.
I bet that was you were real proud of him after, you know, that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's always been his dream too, man. it's always been his dream. He and you know, there's different groups that you listen and hear and recording and stuff. But when I used to listen to Camperos, it's like, man, those violins, the way they play, it's different from Vargas. It's different from Sol de Mexico, and again, it's subjective. This is what I like. It doesn't mean that they're better than this or that, but at the moment and when you listen to them, it did something to me, you know. It sparked a little flame, and that's what Antonio was listening to as well. So yeah, I mean, his goal was eventually to be with Los Camperos, you know, and he did it. You know, he's there right now. Unfortunately, you know, they're not playing at this time.
Right.
He went like 3 weeks ago up there. Supposedly they were going to play a concert in Nuevo Mexico, so he flew up there, and they rehearsed. They had a rehearsal, and then like 2 days later they said no, they canceled the gig, so he came back home.
Man.
So he's been home since.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm proud of him. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
Proud of all of them. I've gotten the opportunities to hear all of you guys, you know, you and all your kids play.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, man, and the thing is that they're all talented in their own ways, man. I mean, my oldest son Miguel, he is a great vocalist. He's a great singer. He's a great musician. He's a great producer. He's just awesome, man. He does a lot of good stuff too. I mean, he's veering off to different style of music, of course, but I mean, that's a good musician right there. You know, he can do both, a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah.
And my daughter plays violin. I mean, she's not playing at the moment. She's up in Utah, pero también toca bien.
So then, when did Mariachi Los Galleros start?
Los Galleros started in 2006.
2006.
2006. I'd been with, after Mariachi, well, it was Campanas, Caporales, and then Mariachi Azteca, and then after Azteca, I went back to Los Caporales for a couple of months, and then I started playing trio music. You mentioned your tios was playing trio, música de trio with here at Mi Tierra with a requentista, se llama Chepe Solis, and he was considered one of the best requinto players here in San Antonio. And I played with him for about a year, and we would play like every day, except, I mean, like 6 days out of the week also. Lots of work, but in the trio, of course, it's requinto, guitarra, and dos guitarras, but for this, I played guitarrón for the trio and sang segunda voz. And as you know, that the trio is a lot different. The harmonizing is a lot different than the mariachi harmonizing, you know, and the different style completely. But yeah, I had that experience also with trio music, you know, la música romántica. And what was your question? I forgot.
Galleros. Galleros.
So Galleros, so after that, after the trio, I'm telling you, I went back to Los Caporales for a couple of months, and then you know, it's because I miss playing mariachi. You know, not playing my violin for a whole year and just playing guitarrón, and it was awesome, man, because we were making good money. I was making good money playing with a trio, because it's easier to hire a trio than a full blown mariachi. You know, any client that we had, it was like, hey, can y'all play a gig? Yeah, well, véngase en los queremos por 4 horas. Okay, pues it's cheaper to hire a trio for 3-4 hours than a mariachi for 4 hours, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that was the good thing, that there was plenty of work. But I miss playing mariachi, man. I had to go back, and I did. And then I was just playing with another mariachi, Chapultepec. I played with them and we even did a concert at Texas State for a Feria del Mariachi. And I know probably Mr. Lopez might have that recording somewhere around there. They did like 2 concerts, and I did one of the last ones that they did with Chapultepec. And and at Chapultepec, they would play at Mi Tierra, and we would start playing like around at 10 o'clock at night and finish at 2 a.m. puro talón. And by then, it's like I've been playing with Campanas and then with Caporales for about 7 years, and then with Azteca another 7 years, doing Talon for about 7 years at La Margarita. It's like I was burning up, man. I was burning out. You know, and so their director said, "Hey, can you help us direct Los Mariachi Chapultepec?" And I was tired, man. I said, "Man, you know what? I'll help you a little bit. De veras, I can't. No, hombre, ven, ayúdame." It was these are all good friends of mine, man. Good people. And so I did. I helped them out, and we had some success. You know, we did some fun stuff. We even got to be in the Jay Leno show.
Wow.
With Chapultepec, and somehow we wound up over there. Pero
Yeah.
anyway, we were playing until 2 a.m. in the morning, and then by the time you get paid and get out of there and you eat something and then you get home, it's freaking 4 o'clock and you unwind and shower. It's 5 o'clock in the morning by the time you go to sleep, and
The sun's already coming up.
oh man, and the kids are kids, you know. In the morning they would wake up and you know, gee, wow. So it was tough, man. And I said, you know what, man, I can't play with this group anymore. So I started playing with different grupitos here. And Manuelito Vargas from Vargas, was living here in San Antonio, and he had this chambita, this gig at a restaurant up in the north of San Antonio, in El Cielito Lindo se llama. And he asked me to play with him, and I think Manuel was playing guitar and singing, of course, and they had another guitarron player, or I would play guitarron, or I would play violin con él, and I was doing some gigs with him. And then Manuel Vargas had a contract with Pablo Montero, the actor, not the singer. Pues Pablo Montero, porque no canta muy bien. He had a contract with the gigs and the concerts that he was doing in the United States. Manuel was his mariachi contact. So Manuel didn't officially have a mariachi group, but it was called Mariachi Sangre Mexicana, and it was different people that he would subcontract. And I was one of the guys that would go and play with Manuel and Manuelito and accompany Pablo Montero. So we had these gigs up in, man, we went to Chicago, to Dallas, to Colorado, to different that I can remember. Dallas. Oh, dije Dallas. Bueno, total, whenever we go with Pablo Montero, we would stay in the nicest places, man. We'd stay like in the Westin hotels, you know, and that's where Pablo Montero would stay. So we would stay along in the same hotels that he was staying at. So, you know, it was Class A service and the nicest hotels in all over. But when we were at the airport, one of those times, Manuel asked me, "Oye, Mike, ¿me ayudas?" Me decía Mike, "Me ayudas aquí a registrar a los muchachos para los boletos y to get them on board." And so I was awesome. So I go up and I could speak English. Y entonces, mira esto y lo otro. Y okay, yeah. And then we get to the hotel y me dices, "Oye, Mike, me ayudas aquí para los cuartos, habla con la dama para que les dé los cuartos y todo." So I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm doing all this work," you know. And that kind of clicked, man. You know, he said, "Why am I doing all the work and I could be doing this, you know?" And at that time I was helping out Manuel, and I appreciate Manuelito because he helped me out during that time that I was just maromeando, que le llamamos, ¿verdad? From one group to another or whatever, wherever there's more work. So I was doing that for a while, and este muchacho se llama Heriberto Vargas. Eddie Vargas, his brother.
Yeah. I played it.
Bueno, su hermano toca con el nuevo Tecalitlán, con Moisés Vargas. Moy me dice, Eddie me dice, "Hey, Mike, pues, you know, what I see, man, is that you know a lot of people, you know, a lot of people know you, and why don't you start your own group, and you could be, you know." I said, you know, maybe. Dijo, yo me voy contigo, yo te ayudo. And I said, all right. So I contacted my good friend Carlos Rosas, and it was Carlos, Eddie, and myself on violin. And then one of the guys that was playing with us, trumpet, Armando Rubio, he was with Azteca. So I asked Mando and Ismael La Torre and Felix Rios. He was a great guitarronista. And Ismael me dijo, "Hey, if you want to start the group, man, I can help you promote it. I can, you know, we'll make cards and make flyers and this and that." And he's like on top of that thing. I said, "Man, if you can do that, because I'm not really good at that stuff. You know, I can worry about the music. And dijo, sí, let's do it. So yeah, we took pictures, man. Mariachi Los Galleros. Y no, hombre, pues let's go to a restaurant and see if, a ver si nos dan trabajo. So we went to a restaurant in the north side. And no, pues ahorita no, que no necesitamos. And it was a good sounding group, man. 3 violines macizos, guitarrón, vihuela, trompeta. No, hombre, tocaba bien bonito todos. But we didn't have work, you know. We were new. And these guys, that's all they lived off of. So they were like, yeah, man, ¿sabes qué? We're not going to be able to help you anymore, man. Oh, pues, you know, ¿qué le hacemos? So Ismael and the guitarrón, vihuela, and the trumpet stayed, and myself, éramos 4. And after that, we invited another violin player. I don't remember who it was. Los Galleros, éramos 4 or 5 así. No, hombre, we started getting all this work, man. 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. We'd have like 13 hours in 1 week and 11 hours in another week. And no, hombre, that was like, what the heck's going on? And then within that time, August, September, October, November, like within those 3 months, they said, hey, let's record something. A friend of mine dijo, I have some studio time for you guys. Tengo un día completo, 2 días. Can you record, you know, a song for me? Yeah, man. So from there, we just record. We went well prepared, and we did a whole freaking album in 2 days, you know.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a lot of material ready, so a lot of the stuff we practiced in the studio. And okay, let's go over this here, and okay, record it, vámonos. Y esto, grábalo, órale, vámonos. Dijo, quiero que cante esta muchacha Vanessa del Fierro. She has her own group ahora también, las Coronelas. Y quiere que cante esta, y le hice un arreglito así de volada en caliente. And that's how that came about. And so we recorded that CD in November. We started the group in August, September, October, November. En 3 meses hicimos el disco. And then we sent it out to different people. And then Cynthia Munoz from the Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza, we sent her one. And then she sent it to one of the guys from the opera, San Antonio Opera. They were bringing in Placido Domingo. And they heard our CD, said, hey, we want this mariachi to accompany Placido Domingo. He's coming up in, you know, next month or whatever. So yeah, man, that was great. So that recording really helped Los Galleros, you know, launch a little movement, you know, for us as far as work was concerned. So to accompany one of the world's greatest tenors, you know, and with this new group, Los Galleros, that was pretty amazing, man. Within, you know, 6 months of existence, everything was like moving freaking really fast. And that was before my kids were playing with us, you know. So so my kids were still young. That was 2006. Estaban chiquitillos. Entonces, I kept working with Los Galleros, and we're going on already almost like on 15 years, man, of existence. Eventually, you know, I had members come that were a couple of violinists that I had. We had 3 violinists, including myself, and one of them was moving out of state, and then the other one was pursuing his, I guess, medical career and so forth, and decided he was gonna stop playing with us. And so I'm like subcontracting different violinists to help us out for the gigs. And the majority of the time when you subcontract someone, you know, pues a ver, help them out, you know, help us out. You sing a song, or ¿a cuál cantas? No, pues no me, oh, you know, so they were really helping, and we're still having to pay them. And I said, what am I doing, man? I have my kids. They can probably play better than these guys and sing better. So I started, we started bringing them in, and you know, they didn't know a lot of repertorio for the stuff that we're doing, but the little things that we did know, they were doing it well. You know, and then we'd come back home and practice and study, and it was tough for them, man, because they had to learn and catch up to, you know, 20-30 years of repertorio with our group, and they had been playing for, you know, less time than that, and you know, we get upset, and they would cry, and tears would fall down, and you know, but they eventually learned, and that's how they joined the group, man. You know, and Antonio was 12 years old. He was 12, and then like the following month he turned 13 when he joined Los Galleros. estaba chiquitillo. Alejandra was 15. Miguel was 17. Entonces they were fairly young. So yeah, Los Galleros. That's how we started with Los Galleros. And then like 2 years ago we recorded our second CD.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't hear that album. It was a good album.
Great album, yeah.
We're looking.
That one took more than 2 days.
Yes, that one took more than 2 days because of the engineer, man.
Oh.
Trying to set up some time with him and just coordinating when we can go in and record. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But after all this, you end up teaching at Texas State.
Yeah, man. My wife told me, hey, sometime back, you know, I was always gigging, and my love is playing. My love is to play and perform. That's my love, man. But then she's like, hey, you know what? She said, you can teach, or you have something special, because, you know, whenever you have a group, you make them sound good. You bring something out in those groups. You have that talent. And she said, I want you to go back to school and finish your studies and this and that. And I said, pues ya pa qué, you know. I'm already doing what I'm doing, you know. But I would get subcontracted to do, I would get contracted to do clinics, you know, come and teach this. And through these experiences that I had, I was able to share those experiences as a clinician. So, and eventually, Michelle Quintero, a good friend of mine from when I was starting out playing, Michelle Quintero's uncle, Pete Moreno, Mr. Moreno.
Yeah.
We played together in Campanas when I started playing Campanas.
Oh.
So, I've known Miss Quintero since we were very young. She must have been like 17 or so. Right? Or she's like a year or 2 years older than I am. So she made the contact and asked me if I could help Mr. Lopez with the master class that they're having with M&G, and that's how I started attending some of those evening classes that M&G used to have at night. And eventually, you know, after a couple of years of doing that, they invited me to be part of the faculty, and that's where I'm at. This is my second year already. Yeah, going on my third year as a part of the faculty.
Yeah, because both Matt and I got there at Texas State 2015. That's when you were freshman. I don't know if you remember his vihuela had metal frets.
Oh yeah, man,
that was rough.
Terrible, man.
I remember we were at rehearsal one night, and Mr. Guzman, give me that thing. What is this?
What is this?
Go start a barbecue with this thing, man. Throw it in the fire.
He said, don't you have something else?
Yeah. He said, no, that's all I got right now, sir.
You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I think I've always had trouble with instruments all my life, but
that's how. That's how you got introduced to you. Yeah, because I didn't know you. You've probably been to a couple of the region, because I made the all region in the valley, Mariachi, but I don't think you were ever my instructor for the groups I played in. But yeah, I remember we used to have those rehearsals Wednesday nights for 3 hours, 3 hour master class.
Yeah,
that was tough. 7 to 10 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And so that went on for a while, and Lopez had his sabbatical, so he didn't.
Yeah, and then I didn't go during that time either.
Yeah,
during that semester.
You didn't go, and then so then they made you a director for Lince de Oro, and then I was in Lince de Oro that your first semester when you taught.
Yeah, that was pretty neat though, man, because from my understanding, Lince de Oro was always looked not down upon, but you know, it's Lince de Oro. It's not, you know, M&G. You know, M&G were the heavy hitters. You know, and they had to audition and all that. And then Lince de Oro is usually like a couple of students that were in there, and it wasn't really like a full mariachi, from what I understand. You know, Miss Quintero was teaching that, and then when I came in, we were able to form like a full mariachi. And no, hombre, it sounded okay, you know. It sounded fairly decent.
Wow. Yeah, because I had been in Lince de Oro, I think a semester before that as well, and yeah, I mean, we had 2 violins, 2 trumpets, and like 4 in the armonia, and we still did a concert, but like that was all we did. We just did the semester concert.
Yeah.
and then you came in, and a lot of freshmen came in as well.
Yeah.
Remember that popurrí you did, that the one you made with the Chente popurrí, you just kind of
Oh.
put some songs together. But people really liked that. They liked our show.
Yeah,
really.
man.
They liked again, going back to the classical songs.
Yeah.
Just the Volver, and everybody knows the words.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the experience right there, Alexis. That I bring to my students and stuff like that. You can play, of course, M&G sounded amazing, and they sound perfect, and they're well drilled and well. But then you hear people just like forget all that. They just want to hear the rancheras and Vicente Fernandez songs, man, and they lose their freaking minds, man.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. You go back to the rancheras de Vicente, you can't go wrong, or Jose Alfredo, you cannot go wrong. And then so the Mariachi Lince de Oro has elevated, our standards, and now people say, oh yeah, these guys sound good too.
Uh-huh.
It's M&G, but these guys, they at one point they were like, I had one student and came up to me and said, "No, hombre, sir, I think y'all guys sounded even better than us today." I said, "No, man." But the thing is that it's all one family, And the wonderful thing about it is that, these freshmen that are coming in, they get this training with MLO, and then eventually step up to M&G, and they're going to be better prepared. And that's a wonderful thing, and I love to see that. For example, when when Jonathan was there, Jonathan was in MLO and Mariachi Lince de Oro for a couple of semesters, and he was like, he was there, and I'd see him, and he'd try to, do his thing and all this and I said, well, do you sing anything? He said, no, not really. So I assigned him a song to sing, and no, he sounded okay. I said, okay, let's work on this or so forth, and no, hombre, before you knew it, he was like doing very well in his singing.
Yeah.
He started improving, huh?
He didn't sing at all before that.
No,
for sure.
And he wasn't singing before, so and then like 2 semesters later, he auditioned and he made it to Nueva Generación.
Yeah.
He did it to Nueva Generación. Well, and then he was singing like these solos and all this stuff, and I was like, man, I felt really proud and say, man, that I had a little part of that, and that's what I love to see now. These students, how they come in and then they get better, and then they're over here, and then I see them singing their solos and playing at a different level. That's pretty awesome. But that's my job. That's my job to help them elevate their game, per se.
No, yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a fun time, and I've been in both. I've bounced around both groups. Plenty of times.
Man, and having you there too, and having that experience, I know you helped me out a lot, man. Organizing things and
helping out on
you played guitarrón and being versatile and playing vihuela and then going guitar and so forth, and then of course your resources. I know you helped me out with acquiring an arrangement to, I don't know what song it was.
Cielo Rojo.
I don't know. Something that you had in your library that you shared with me. So I appreciate your help. But that's the way it is, man.
It was fun, and then I left you the next semester.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, bye.
Yeah, but that's the way it is. You don't want to stay stuck with, that's the thing with these groups, the university groups. They have to change because people have to keep on moving. That's just a stepping stone. You don't want to stay there, like 5 years. Y todavía estás aquí,
The guys that have been in Aslan for 10 years.
Well, that was the case at one point. You'd see the same. I think
now they're all gone.
Yeah, they're doing things differently now. But yeah. So with talking about our situation over here, man. Yeah, I know that Lopez is I not strict on that, but he wants to make sure everyone's registered in the class and make sure that they're following through and get them out. Go on to the next thing. Go on to the next thing and get better at it, and then graduate and go teach and go work and start making that money, man. That's important, and get as much experience as you need, and that's what he's been doing. He said, I want to bring Guzman in so that he can help us with that, and then I also want to bring in, they're thinking about doing the mariachi degree, concentration on mariachi also. So they're bringing in another armonia player, and thinking about another a trumpet player instructor as well. So that's gonna be pretty cool, man.
Yeah, man, isn't that crazy how mariachi in schools has changed in the past, say 40 years? Because I know another the guy that, well, my old boss that I had in Austin, Alex and Ramirez. He started mariachi, I think, in middle school, high school, but he said it was these dogs.
Yeah.
It was very different back then. I mean, mariachi was barely in the school, and or it was like, if you're in mariachi, you're kind of like uncool. But now like in high school groups, the ones that are in like the varsity groups are like the cool kids.
Yeah, being in mariachi, I don't know if it was cool or not back in the day, 40 years ago, but
Yeah.
I know when I was in a predominantly Hispanic school, in the West Side, so Mexican music, I mean, it wasn't that bad being in the mariachi, but it was no, it wasn't bad, I don't know how it was in your.
They didn't make fun of you or nothing.
No.
No.
I mean, and if anything, they were like, "Hey, man, I saw you on TV." Like, yeah, I was doing like shows with Campanas, and we're coming out on television in the news or something. I said, "Yeah, man, that was pretty cool."
Famous at 15.
Yeah, man.
Do you have any plugs? Anything you want to promote? Anything going on?
We're doing a virtual. I guess it's a virtual concert. I think it's October the 10th or 15th, but I'll let you know, with Los Galleros and the city of San Antonio for Hispanic month this coming month. I mean, it's happening right now. There's different events in San Antonio, and we just recorded a couple of songs for that. So I'll let you know. Maybe you can announce it in your podcast as well.
Yeah.
There you have it, guys. Check it out.
The Mariachi Los Galleros.
Yes, sir.
But I mean, I know it was recently 15 de septiembre.
Yes, sir.
Which is crazy, because usually that's a really busy day, and that day I didn't play.
No,
like the actual day
we didn't play either.
We had no gigs.
We didn't play. That's crazy, but at this point we're healthy, and our family is well, and nobody's gotten sick, and I prefer that.
Yeah, but yes, it will get better.
Yeah, we're hoping so, man. And we're gradually getting more gigs coming in, and of course we still maintain social distance. We still wear our mask, and it's tempting for everyone to say, forget it, man, just sing without the mask. We can't, we don't do it. Even if we play outside, we're playing next to each other, we're singing next to each other, so all those aerosols, or all that mist that's coming out of our mouth, all those droplets, we have people that are interacting with other people during the week, and then we come and play together for 3 or 4 hours next to each other. That's a good way to spread some of those germs, even though we're outside. So my companion, our trumpet player Gabriel, mentioned, he sent us a text this morning and said that one of his friends that he was interacting this past weekend tested positive for COVID. So so now we don't know if he has to quarantine or what's up. So that's what's happening at this point. We want to make sure that everyone continues to practice and take the right precautions and stay safe, man, because this thing isn't over, man, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. We're here. I mean, and just to let you know, we're in my home, and you hear all this noise because I open the windows. I want to make sure that we have good ventilation and not we're here with Alexis and Matt wearing our mask. You hear the dog in his chain rattling all over the place, and you hear the cars passing. But these are the things that we have to work with at this point.
Adjust to.
Yeah.
No, I mean thanks for having us.
Yes,
For
thank you.
having us here. It was fun. Get to know more your story and your
Cool,
what
man.
you think about mariachi.
There's a lot of other things, whenever you can think of something, or you
Yeah, I mean,
can ask me.
we'll
shoot me a
probably
text or something.
have you back sometime
Cool, man.
again.
If you have
Hopefully.
some specific questions or any questions I can answer for
Mhm.
your listeners
No,
and viewers,
But they what they want to hear is the juicy stuff.
the juicy stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
juicy stuff.
there's plenty of juicy stuff, man.
All those late nights at the salons, at the restaurants.
Yeah, man.
But so this has been episode 9.
Well, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the other ones too, man.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's I heard the ¿Quién está cantando? I heard Sammy's and Victor's and Chapo Beans or something.
Yeah.
My son told me that they had theirs.
we don't mention their names.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Nah, they're cool. Just playing.
No,
Yeah.
but when you asked me to do this, it says, oh, maybe it's the same thing that they're trying to do. And like I told you, whenever you have an idea, move on it, because there's like 2 or 3 other people that have that same idea. So yeah.
Yeah. But I guess the dog wants us to finish already. So this has been episode 9 for Los Mariachi Sagas. So I want to thank again Mr. Guzman, Mike Guzman,
Yes, sir.
Matt. I'm Alexis, and we'll see you guys later.
Peace.
See you guys.
Bye.
Los Mariachi Sagas. Los Mariachi Sagas.